Gravel by California here to give you a guide to the most robust network of gravel here in the Santa Monica Mountains between Topanga Canyon and the Sepulveda Pass. What makes this area so unique is not just the big bang you get for the buck in terms of connectivity, but also how accessible it is to the Los Angeles area, especially if you live in the San Fernando Valley or on the west side. I'm going to give you a brief overview of all the trails here so you can get ready to mash all this gravel, like us. The Santa Monica Mountains stretch roughly 40 miles, mainly along the Pacific coast, terminating by the LA River. While there are a number of recreation opportunities across this range, this 8-mile wide section between Topanga Canyon and the Sepulveda Pass not only has the most robust network of gravel possibilities, but it is also accessible from the San Fernando Valley and the west side. The most important connector to familiarize yourself with is Dirt Mulholland, which rides the ridge and serves as the spine to the majority of the trails. It winds and rolls over its 8 miles and is relatively tame against the other climbing challenges. But remember to hold caution with a few sections of loose conditions where it bottoms out. Most of the other trails in this area run north-south. And starting from the east, where you can park for the start of Dirt Mulholland, your first artery is the Upper Canyon Back Trail. Traveling the ridge nearest the 405 freeway, you get a good look across the region, as this 1.5 mile section of dirt has a lot more climbing than you'd think. What makes this ride worth it is continuing directly through the Mountain Gate community, where many continue on to Lower Canyon Back. This is another short 2 miles, mostly of dirt, featuring hefty ups and downs. But the main attraction is a little sidebar that's one of the hidden gems of the mountains. Affectionately known as the Whoops, this little offshoot is filled with bumps and jumps where you're not going to find a more mile of fun in the Santa Monica Mountains. One option to get off of Canyon Back is to head back to the upper section to ride down the short Hollyhock Fire Road. This connector is slightly longer than 1 kilometer and exits to one of the most popular road bike climbs in the area, Mandeville Canyon. To get back to dirt, it's a short ride north towards the Gardenland Trail. It's 1.5 miles of twists and pitches of inconsistency, but it's short enough to tolerate. At the top, Gardenland connects you to Westridge. Just a 1/2 mile to the north, the popular Cold War era Nike Tower site is a gravel hallmark, but is also pretty well used as a stop for restrooms, water, and bees. Westridge stretches 3.5 miles, as descending it to the south averages 3.5% before factoring in a couple of short climbs. You may not see where you end up, but you can pick up other trails across the Santa Monica Mountains. When you start to familiarize yourself is recognize you're so close to other trails. Like to point out Sullivan Ridge, Temescal back there. Even Backbone is kind of sticking out. Knowledge. It's easy to pick up speed most of the way, but you want to ease up with many hikers around. Reaching the parking lot, it's easy to get back to off-roading, with the start of Sullivan Canyon just a mile away. This is one of the most unique climbs, as you're mostly deep into the oaks, providing complete shade on the hottest of days. Averaging 5.3% over 4.25 miles is a bit deceptive, as the majority of Sullivan Canyon has a slight incline most of the way. It's easy to keep a high pace, but always beware getting caught in the concrete square mats where the seasonal stream dips. The last mile due north is where the climb ramps up a bit, but it's the additional half mile after the switchback that really brings the pain at nearly 11%. Just like Gardenland, this climb ends about a half mile below Dirt Mulholland as you intersect with Sullivan Ridge Fire Road. Coming from the Pacific Palisades, Sullivan Ridge is a 5.6 mile climb with an overall incline of 4.4%, with some steep stretches averaging out the rollers. The first couple of miles are mainly paved, and below you is a worthy diversion down to Murphy Ranch, which once was an enclave for Nazi sympathizers before World War II. The dirt begins on Sullivan Ridge, just past the last gate, as there's no doubt that the heavy climbing begins. There's also a parallel single track, which is really for the most technically inclined or mountain bikes.
Oh, look at you go.
So you can see there's some of these trail options just right along the road. Not just here, but also on Westridge. I'm panting because I don't know if I should be up here. A short reprieve brings you to more emptying out your gears before passing Sullivan Canyon with a short climb left up to Mulholland. For this guide, I omitted the first 6 mile segment of the Backbone Trail, where it connects with Temescal Ridge, because it's normally overgrown and hike-a-bike in section. Do familiarize yourself with Temescal Ridge, as it's a handy connector central to the area. While the trail itself technically begins out of Temescal Park, it isn't accessible to bikes from there, leaving you to climb Palisades Drive to either the Split Rock trailhead or my favorite option, Trailer Canyon. Trailer is a great 2.2 mile entry point with a lot of changing views up this heavy climb. Once you make it up, Temescal is enjoyable, as it doesn't undulate as much as the other ridgelines. Shortly past the Backbone sign, you come across another important landmark known as the Hub. This junction marks the convergence of a few popular trails, with the shaded pavilion as a timely stopping point. Continuing north on Temescal is a 2-mile stretch that's mainly downhill until the last half-mile climb connecting you to dirt Mulholland. The two other choices from the hub is picking between which direction of the Eagle Rock Loop to go. I typically ride the northern half from here, which is where the Backbone Trail continues. This route gives you great views towards Saddle Peak, as well as the opportunity to make landfall onto Eagle Rock. The southern half, at 1.4 miles, is similar in length, but generally has a smoother surface. I enjoy taking this option back to the hub because of the views riding below Eagle Rock. If you continue west from the loop, you have 1.5 miles of extremes, as Topanga Fire Road has a profile like Colossus, with high speeds and a number of hikers. Don't miss the turnoff to the Trippett Ranch entrance if you're in need of water or a bathroom break. Paseo Miramar is the last main stretch of dirt in the area, which also begins the closest to the beach and starts off as one of the most challenging. After a heavy climb through some nicely positioned homes, you make your way onto dirt where your effort won't ease up. As the double-digit grade punishment subsides, it's almost required to take the short half-mile Parker Mesa Overlook detour to take in some of the best views up the coast. Returning to the intersection, Paseo Miramar transitions to East Topanga Fire Road, where you have 2.5 miles of downhill coasting or emptying out your gears to come full circle to Trippett Ranch. If you're looking for more gravel in the area, Caballero Canyon is a single-track alternative to reaching dirt Mulholland from the valley. There's a couple of spots where you may have to hike a bike, but this 1.5 mile ascent is a way of avoiding the steep climb up Reseda Boulevard. Lastly, there's the 1-mile View Ridge Trail off of Topanga, which packs in a lot of fun in a short distance, but beware as it connects to a private road. So as Rick Steves would say, this is the best collection of gravel in the Santa Monica Mountains this side of Europe. Please subscribe to Gravel by California. You'll find route details in the description below for all of these trails. I'm bringing you more rides like this from the state of dirt.